This question is this commenter says two questions for you, my friend. First question, why are you not in favor of term limits? And second question, what do you consider to be a good age cap for Congress? Honest questions for curiosity. No problem. My age cap for Congress would be 65. 65, you're retired. I think that that's an acceptable age. That has been the retirement age in the United States of America for quite some time. It's what I think that I think people should be able to draw their full Social Security and be able to retire from their careers. And I think that if you're in Congress and you're 65, that's enough. I don't give a shit if you just got into politics at age 60. 65 is where I would draw the line. Now, why am I not in favor of term limits? I don't oppose term limits given the current state of affairs. However, the people who need to pass term limits are the people who term limits would affect. So if we can get those people to pass a bill that would affect their working conditions, like that, term limits, then I would much rather see them pass a regulatory bill that would do away with the need for term limits. I would like to see a bill passed that had several aspects to it. So, for example, if you run for the Senate, you don't get to take any donations from outside your state. And if you run for the House, you don't get to take any donations from outside your district. You don't get to take money from organizations, right? So that's no teachers union money. And that's no Koch brothers money. That's no organizations, no corporate money. That's none of that shit. None of that shit gets to influence our elections. I would like to see that bill be one that says that once you're in Congress, whether it be the Senate or the House, all bills need to be standalone bills. Tom, that would add a lot of work. I don't give a fuck. If you're voting to name a post office, then vote to name a post office. It should be a paragraph on a paper. You guys should be able to bang that out, no problem. If you're voting to fund the Department of Defense, it's going to be a fucking thick-ass bill, but that's all you get to vote on. You don't get to add anything to it. No more pork. Every bill is a standalone bill. You vote on the bill based on the merits. That way, we can't have people like we frequently get from the Republicans saying, we didn't vote for it because this is what the Democrats added to it. And the Democrats do it to the Republicans sometimes as well. We get it more out of the Republicans, right? We didn't vote for that really good bill because what the Democrats added to it. Do away with that and make these motherfuckers vote on the face of the bill. Another thing I'd like to see added to a Regulatory and Reform Act for Congress is you don't get to vote in Congress for things that benefit you. For example, you want a raise, that goes to a national referendum. You don't get to vote on your own raise. I've owned multiple companies in my lifetime, and none of the people who ever worked for me ever got to walk in here this is my office, this is where I conduct my business. They've never gotten to walk into this room and go, hey, this is my new pay. We took a vote. These people work for us. They want a raise. We determine whether or not they get a raise. I would like to see part of a Regulatory and Reform Act say that if Congress shuts down, if you guys have a federal shutdown because you can't agree on X, Y, or Z, the first people that don't get paid are you fucks. The first ones. You're going to shut the government down? Then we're not cutting off Social Security checks. You guys lose your checks first and foremost. I bet we have a lot fewer federal shutdowns. I'd like to see some form of punishment, maybe the wrong word, but docking of their pay, something negative that happens to them if we're continuing to run deficits. You guys can't figure out how to balance your budget, then we're going to dock you for it until you figure it the fuck out. I'd also like to stop this whole practice of, well, I need a house in my district and I need a house in Washington, D.C., so I got to spend a lot of time raising money. Fuck that shit. You're forbidden from owning a house in Washington, D.C. We'll build for you a state-of-the-art barracks system, a condo building, if you will, that has state-of-the-art condominiums, gymnasiums, a pool, a fucking cafeteria. Fine, we'll set it up. But that's where you live when you're in Washington, D.C. And, oh, by the way, no more of this. I got to travel on Friday. I only get to work 4.5 days this week because I got to have a travel day. No, you work 5 days. That's the price you pay for being a public servant. But I live in Hawaii. I live in California. I live in Washington State. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. going hand in hand with that, I'd like to see us be able to allow some of our members of Congress be able to vote remotely. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, how many people do you know that work remotely, but you can't take a vote remotely? That way we can cut down on people not working and spending time in the airport. You can work from home if need be. I think if we can get a bill together with those things as well as many other things, if we can get a bill together, pause. This is one of the things that should be right at the fucking top of this Regulatory and Reform Act. One of the things that you give up for being a public servant to serve in our nation's Congress, whether it be the House of Representatives or Senate. If you want that position, one of the things you give up is the ability to own stock. Insider trading being okay among members of Congress is fucking ridiculous. If I had my way, we'd march federal marshals up to Capitol Hill Monday morning, handcuff everybody that is guilty of insider trading, and march them out the front door on a fucking perp walk with Nancy fucking Pelosi at the front of that goddamn line. Because while she has been, in my opinion, one of the most phenomenal speakers of the House in the history of this country, she has also been the person that has fought the hardest against making sure that the members of Congress can't get rich based off the insider information that they know. You guys don't get to own stock anymore. That should be at the top of the fucking list. If we can get a bill like that, add some more items into there. Let's regulate the fuck out of Congress. If we can get a bill like that passed, then I think that what you're going to find out is you're going to get rid of the people who are there to get rich because they can't. And you're going to find the people who actually want to serve, who actually are public servants in their core. And then you don't want term limits. I don't look at my mechanic and go, dude, you have been my mechanic for 20 years. It's time I find a new mechanic because you can only do this job so long. No, he's a great mechanic. I want him to be my mechanic as long as humanly possible until he's no longer able to do it, right? I don't look at my plumber and go, no, you've been doing this for so many years, so I can only have you do this for so many years. He's a great plumber. I want him to do it as long as humanly possible. Not until he's fucking 80, which is why I'm in favor of an age cap. But I'm not just going to discard him because he's been doing it for so many years. If we can get them to pass term limits, then we should be able to get them to pass a Regulatory and Reform Act. And if we can get that, fuck the term limits. We don't need the term limits. We're not going to want to get rid of people who are there to actually serve us. If they're doing a good job, you want them to stay right there and continue to do that good job. That's why I say I'm against term limits. In the absence of that, fine, let's talk about term limits.